Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday to all. Welcome back to the UpSet podcast. Of course, you know I'm never alone. I have the crew with me. Well, most of us. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Whoa.
is that Judge Katanji? Oh no, that's
What an honor. I don't think I've ever had a better compliment, at least not this week.
Do they really all look alike, Nick? Come on, man.
touche, my brother, touche.
It's the locks. It's the locks. Hers are real, though. All right. So, guys, what's been going on? How's your week been?
It's been an interesting week, a very interesting week.
Eventful.
Eventful for sure.
Eventful week, yeah.
All right. What are some of the things I know most of our timelines have had some very common things. What are some of the things that have been circulating on your news feeds and showing up on your phone and notifications? What's sticking out for you guys?
Two things real quick. Of course, the ongoing situation with Ukraine. And I have to admit, you hear a lot of news and, a lot of videos, but there was one video I saw that was published by the BBC. It was an aerial photo, may have been by a drone, I'm not sure, but there was an aerial view of a highway where they were escaping the city. You could see the cars going. And at one point, they were fired on. And they stopped and U-turned their cars as people were U-turning their cars because they were under fire. One driver stopped, his U-turn and got out and put his hands up, because apparently,
I saw that.
Put his hands up and they just cut him down.
Yeah.
Two children in the car, and he and his wife died, but you actually saw, they usually cut it right at the point where, the shots were fired. And, it just made it so real. I mean, I can't imagine. I'm trying to imagine myself on a major highway, just trying to get out and you come under fire.
Yeah.
That was amazing. It was amazing. And the other thing is this ongoing censorship that's happening. Whole videos and channels being taken down by YouTube and other social networks. If you go against the narrative, especially if it was COVID or if it's
vaccines,
vaccines, or if it were dialogue on what's happening in Russia. It's sounding like, I've been reading a lot of watchdog websites that have been keeping an eye on this. And it's sounding like a lot of the social networks are just doing whatever the government tells them to do.
Wow.
And they're taking people down. I mean, and I'm not saying, you say, well, okay, yeah, well, you should take down Alex Jones and all those people. But I'm talking about some very reputable independent journalists.
Right.
If they go against the narrative, next thing you know, gone. So it's concerning because it's a trend, and I think we should kind of keep an eye on that.
Yeah, it shows how impactful social media really is. They wouldn't be threatened by it if it wasn't working in some way. So that's why we got to make sure we keep all the good content out there as much as possible. But that is scary to think about, someone deciding whether what you have to say is worth being shared to the masses.
Yeah.
Well, in my neck of the woods, I'm thinking of Emma Wyant. Most of you don't know who Emma Wyant is, and that's because Emma Wyant finished second place to a woman by the name of Leah Thomas. Those of you who don't know who Leah Thomas is, you're late to the discussion. Leah Thomas is a transgendered woman who was the winner in the 500-yard freestyle NCAA championship swimming contest. And as a transgendered woman, people were saying that it's not fair because she's really not a woman. She's transgendered, even though the NCAA has rules that govern when a transgendered person can compete in their new gender. I bring this up because one of the issues that Judge Ketanji Jackson Brown Jackson Brown, isn't it?
Brown Jack.
Brown
Brown
Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah, Brown Jackson. Yeah, Jackson Brown was the singer-songwriter. Sorry about that. But it was when she was asked by the female senator, forget her name right now, well, define what a woman is. And the judge says, I'm not a biologist. I can't. And we are in a position now where we do have to ask ourselves some questions about gender and now understanding them. One of the things people like to say, well, it's really simple. I mean, God made Adam and then God made Eve. It's that simple. But the truth of the matter is that God made Adam. Then later on, out of Adam, God drew Eve. And so
watch it now. Watch it.
so it's a discussion. It's something to look at. We do have transgendered members in our churches, and it's something that we have to discuss and address.
Yeah.
And speaking of NCAA, I mean, there's some people right now who should be watching the upset, but they're watching St. Peter's go against North Carolina to see if they can pull off another upset.
Okay.
So our eyes are on that. I mean, St. Peter's is in New Jersey. Underdog. You talk about an underdog story.
Yeah, I heard
one
it.
right there. But on a serious note, the governor of my home state of Florida recently signed a bill to mandate that high school students get some financial literacy courses before they graduate high school. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I was shocked that was coming from Florida, but
Governor
that is actually
DeSantis,
a wonderful thing. Yes, DeSantis
did something right,
aka the Satan. And so, in this regard, for this one thing that DeSantis did, I want to tell America to be like Florida. Everything else, continue being yourselves, but Florida got it right this time.
Oh, that's awesome. I think more states should start mandating that. Man, how many of us have we known then?
I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think DeSantis is going to run for president.
That's not bold.
I'm going to make a bolder one. He's going to lose.
You think he's going to do it?
He's going to run.
He's going to do it.
He's going to run. And, again, if we're not careful on the Democratic side, we're going to come up real strong.
Yeah. But now, we're apolitical, so whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter who runs.
You are. Yeah. Our Jesus, our God is sovereign. Yeah.
He reigns.
Yeah.
Listen, mine is Jenny Thomas. The text messages from the Supreme Court Justice's wife that put out the text messages about let's go ahead and get that vote back. It's just a wonder sometimes to recognize that even somebody in your family that close could make a statement like that. And I
wonder
what
Mr. Thomas felt about that.
Uncle Tom. I mean,
yeah, we're gonna have to be GP. We're gonna have to be on Twitch in a little bit because social media gonna take us off for a couple of things we just said. But again, I'm just thinking you up here grilling this lady, and recognizing that even in the same household that you have, you're texting messages to Trump's chief of staff so that they can fight to overturn the elections back in January. And I think that's one of the things that they're trying to hide. So that's one of the things that I was looking at this week.
Yeah. Wow. And we kind of already danced around it, but I just every day I'm sure we all saw those same images of the Honorable Ketanji Brown Jackson. The daughter looking at her and in awe, the husband kissing her on the forehead. I mean, it's just so much emotion that this whole confirmation has brought for, I feel like Black Americans in general. I feel like, we have these moments where we're all kind of rallying together and, in support of someone. And you see a lot of that this week. It was actually encouraging to see the support for her. And
the word is that thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of women emulating her by trying to duplicate her hairstyle. I've heard that. Is there any truth to that? Yeah, that's what I hear.
Okay. Yes, she has a wonderful hairstyle. Some sister locks. Sister locks.
Does she have sister locks?
She
And
does.
thanks to the Crown
Yeah.
Act, it,
That's
it
what-
should be.
Right. I was
I was
thinking.
just about
yeah,
to say
we
that.
talked
The
about
Crown
that.
I mean, just I interviewed the woman who invented Sister Locks. I interviewed her
Really?
before she actually registered them, and way back in the 90s. Yeah,
Hmm.
Wow. Got a lot of history right there.
I'm old.
So I do see a question from Misunderstood Too. When can you order an UpSet tea and post mug? So you're not going to let us off the hook with that. I know that came up at the end of last week's show. We're working on that. The goal is by camp meeting to have those available. So I'm saying it out loud to kind of hold us accountable to that. But thanks for asking. Yes. So I can't
Until that time, just stub your toe, and then any mug you pick up, it'll be an UpSet mug. Trust me.
Yeah. Oh, mercy.
Yeah, we have some high school pottery class students. working on it.
All right, guys. Well, we're ready to jump into our topic. Last week, well, all month long, we have been focusing on Women's History Month. One, because we find it to be a topic worth discussing. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, everybody? I'm sorry. I like saying hello to people.
G-Money.
Yeah, where he come from?
Hi, Miss Retha. Anyway, so yeah, and I even kept my banner up, Women's History Month, because we're wrapping it up this month, this week, and I've actually enjoyed it. I don't know, I feel like, wow, how come I didn't hear that much about this when I was a younger woman? I felt like it would have been very inspirational. I hear more about it now, which is great, because I'm making sure my children know more about it and take these opportunities to celebrate women. And we've been talking about so many different issues, and even some of you have shared different topics that as relates to women. And so we've appreciated that. And last week we were talking about Hidden Figures, and we, referenced the movie and all these wonderful women that we didn't even know about until, say, a movie came out or someone wrote a book. And we realized that just like in history, the church also has hidden figures. The Adventist Church, which we are affiliated.
You know what, Tosh, can I interrupt you for a second? Could you do just something very minor for me? Can you switch boxes?
Sure.
Positions.
And put her in the middle.
Yeah, she's the executive producer.
Yeah,
she should be there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. I kind of like that. Oh, and how can we donate? I'm sorry. We'll share more about that too. How can you donate? But anyway, yes, Hidden Figures right in at the Adventist Church. A lot of us have really thought that this rise of women in leadership has just happened recently, and that this is some new wave of women taking over or finding their rightful place. But as we look back in the history of the Adventist Church, we find that actually there were a lot of women who were part of the foundation of the Adventist Church, did a lot to help grow the Adventist Church in several different areas. And so we want to take some time to kind of share and talk about some of these women and their contributions. I do want to give a shout out to a gentleman who did a presentation for Adventist Today.
Mm-hmm. Outstanding presentation.
Yeah, he was awesome. His name is Jim Wibberding. And I will put the link to the full presentation, because we, of course, won't go into as much detail as he does in the chat for those who want to check out this presentation that he did. But he did an excellent job highlighting just 10 women who had done a phenomenal job in laying down the foundation of the church. Some of the names you may recognize, but several of them I had never heard of. I don't know about you guys. Some of them I had no idea that they had done all of these wonderful things. And his presentation pretty much breaks it up into 5 areas of the church where these women have made notable contributions. And I also want to thank, I believe it's Anthony. Anthony is actually one of our viewers, one of you, who brought this to our attention when he heard what we were talking about and thought it would be great for us to highlight it. And so we're doing that. So we're going to talk about some of these women and some of the things that they accomplished, some of the challenges they faced. But then we're going to also look at, where did this shift happen? If this was happening in if this was happening in the 19th century, where do we go wrong that we're still almost back to ground zero, it seems sometimes, with women in ministry?
Can you ask that question
I just
again?
wanted, I just wanted to know, when did
I forgot about you guys. Yeah, when were the changes? When did this great change
the
happen?
change.
The change.
where
Yes.
women in
Okay.
church leadership became so taboo? Okay, but first of all, let's start by talking about the most popular woman in Adventist history, and we know who that is, right?
Yeah. Well, Latasha Hewitt is someone that we all respect.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean, we have so many endearing names for her.
Yeah.
Some of us call her Aunt Helen. Some of us call her Sister White. Some of us call her
Helen?
EG.
EG Dub.
Yeah, I mean, we've come up with all kinds of names for her, and she probably is the most well-known female in the church, especially as it relates
I
to.
think she might be the most well-known personality in the church, male or
Yes,
female. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. That says a lot there. But Ellen G. White was just one woman.
Yeah.
And there were several others who we may not have known of that we want to talk about a little bit. So I talked about, I mentioned the areas. Did I say the areas yet? Or is that in my head?
No.
Oh, I didn't see them.
Not yet.
All right. So
that's why I had you go in the middle, see, because you.
And plus, this to give us the opportunity of giving us the opportunity of checking the shift and see how the shifts are made.
No. Okay. So the areas are the publishing work, which shouldn't be a surprise, healthcare, education, conference work, and even the local church. So even back in the 19th century, women serving as church planters, church pastors, all of these things were happening. All right. So I kind of asked the team, this is almost like a little group project. Okay, you want to share tonight, to kind of help me highlight some of these women. So let's start with the publishing. The publishing work.
Okay.
Who has that? Look, I gave out.
Is your hand up back there? Do I see your hand? Go ahead, Nick. Just.
Oh, me? No.
Take it away.
The publishing work? No. You gave that to me? Well, bless your heart.
No. Is that the equivalent of my dog ate?
My dog ate that homework.
That lady, yeah.
I did not know that you gave that to me. I am so very regretful.
This is the good thing about a group project. We all study in case somebody.
Well, let's look at it this way. I look at Annie Smith. Anybody checked out Annie Smith? And she was a part of the publishing work. And one of the things that, here's the thing: they kind of intertwine. All of them kind of intertwine with each other.
That's
so
what ministry is.
Yep, it sure is. And one of the things that Adventism have always been considered as the people of the books. We've always been known as the people of the books because how big Sabbath school and education is, and the periodicals that's out. So when I think about somebody who was who came through the publishing work, I have my mind on Annie Smith, a young girl. Can I just give a plug to youth ministries really quick?
Yep.
That most of these women started at the ages between 14 and 16 years old. I just wanted to put it out there that it was. But then you also saw that Annie Smith was young. She died at 27 years old, and the amount of things that she was able to do within that short period of time is phenomenal. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And one of them.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. Come on.
No, I was just saying, you're saying that short period of time. I mean, in that short period of time, she was a teacher. Right. She wrote hymns. I know you're going to mention hymns because I know you love hymns. And if you look in your SDA hymnal, you'll find, if you look up Annie Smith, you'll actually find some of the hymns that she wrote that you may not have even realized.
That's right. You see, the thing. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was thinking of Maud Cicely Boyd, another pioneer in the work of publishing, who helped in the organizing of the General Conference and when the church actually started in the 1860s, and and her missionary work is well spoken of. I often wondered, though, if women were often drawn to the publishing work because women were a lot more literate than men. Men reading is something we
Mhm.
take for granted now because there's reading material everywhere. But in those days, very few people had a lot of reading material around, and typically it was connected to homes where women were, and they would typically do the most reading for themselves and for their children.
Mhm.
But
Right. Yeah, you're probably right.
Mhm.
That's probably exactly
Mhm.
where a lot of it stemmed from. I mean, a lot of the tracks, the Review and Herald, and the major publications that drove the church early on, women were kind of behind that.
yeah,
And that
Well,
was the thrust of our work at the very beginning. So
yeah,
go ahead.
well, you remember when we were talking about Hidden Figures last week? We were talking about the movie, the actual movie Hidden Figures, and how the men kind of looked at typing or the new computers as menial jobs. So let's go ahead and let the women do it, right? And
yeah.
then they flipped the script on them by saying, hold on, not only are we going to learn how to type, and we're going to learn how the programming had gone to that. These women, when you look at Sister Maud Boyd, you're talking about somebody who was in the organization of GC, because you don't organize anything without having some type of
Records.
template,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Records and
yeah.
templates and all of
Mhm.
that. And because she had the opportunity of doing that, wow, you started off with her. I started off with Annie Smith, but you started off with Boyd. Boyd was ridiculous because she's also the reason why we have church schools.
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
And church schools that came out of really Sabbath schools weren't really Sabbath schools. Can I just add this one point in that Tally was talking about? Most of the men were farmers,
Right.
right? So because they were farmers, they were either in the field early in the morning, etc. Came back out around 2 o'clock. By this time, they were already in their books and already having their own Bible studies with the other women and children that were around.
Mhm. Yep.
So all of this was like second nature for
Yep.
them. They
Mhm.
had it already moving. So I could see how they organized, how she was a part of organizing the GC easily,
Yep.
1863,
And
right?
then there's a GC coming up this year. And so this is a good time to reflect on a female that helped establish the first one.
Sure,
Mhm.
Oh, I'm
sure.
glad. I'm glad I got through that publishing part. I'm telling you.
But
Thank God for
something
group
else with
project.
another thing with the publishing, Nick, I know I'm stealing your publishing from you,
Oh no, no,
but
no! Please have at it, man.
Oh,
Have at it.
me.
but another thing with the publishing is that a lot of, remember, people like Annie Smith was also in the Great Disappointment.
Mm.
The 1844 movement, that was a real downer when it came to the 1844 Great Disappointment. So a lot of those songs, one day we'll have a show on this, and I know that Chuck's wife is going to join us on this. A
Yeah.
lot of those, a lot of those songs came out of poetry. So a lot of their writings were really poetry, while we took the bar songs. Did I say that? Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Yep.
And we
that's right.
connected, we connected the
Mhm.
saloon and the bar songs to this
Mhm.
for it to come together. But the songs that they were singing was to encourage us. I know you know the song, The Blessed Hope. That song was written then because a lot of us lost direction. A lot of the men lost direction because of the 1844 situation. And still they flipped the script by writing poetry and writing in the Review and Herald so that it can go far and wide to make
Mhm.
sure people would stay on board.
Absolutely. So, two, and then that's just two. There's several other women who were part of the publishing work. These are just
Mhm.
two notable ones who made
Mhm.
major contributions on several levels. But then we also were looking at healthcare, and we know people tend to see women as more nurturing and caring. So it may not come as a surprise that women had a lot to do with building up healthcare within the Adventist Church and being very instrumental in that. So let's look at some of the women who were very instrumental in that area.
Yeah. One of the phenomenal woman was Anne Carlson Stahl. And I have this visual in front of me to remind me of her greatness. She was a missionary. She traveled the world, South America, and she eventually opened up a clinic in Cleveland, Ohio in 1892. And so you talk about a woman who did some amazing things, some pioneering work in healthcare. where did she find the resources to start a clinic? First of all, that's a question I want to explore. But she was able to galvanize and get it popping and working. And so I want to give a shout out to Sister Stahl for her amazingness and the legacy that she began in the late 1800s.
You know, one of the things about her, and I'm seeing and recognizing kind of a common thread with all of these women, is they knew how to network. They knew how to like find other people who could help them get the job done. They had friends in powerful places and use that to kind of bring people together. And I feel like, wow, that can be, you know, maybe something unique that women bring to the table. Sometimes we have this ability to pull people together and work towards a common cause, a goal. It's kind of cool. Maybe.
Yeah.
Indeed. And the other lady I want to raise up right now and highlight is Ruth Temple. She was a sister, a Black lady, and she actually became the first Black female doctor in California. So she was the first Black graduate from their medical program at Loma Linda. And so she is a hero. Think about how many women have come behind her, but she was the first Black woman to get that accomplishment from Loma Linda. So what do you guys think about Sister Ruth Temple?
I think she's amazing. I think I saw somewhere where they said they thought she delivered about 300 babies per month or something like that. Like she was that, she was that well known. And that's the other thing about women in the church. They weren't just known in the church. She was known in California, the state of California, for her contributions because she was just so awesome at what she did. Not just because she was the first Black female, she was just a stellar doctor.
But then if you go back to Stahl, I'm sorry, Nick, 1 second. Stahl was the same way. Stahl was exactly the same way. Stahl, and I know you said it before Latasha, but what I wanted to say is that Stahl used her medical nuances to get in between businessmen and to be able to go where the money was at. You know, I'm taking care of you, but hey, what you gonna do for me? What you gonna do for the work? No, really, because you know she had her hands in where the people were. So if you notice, it kind of also remind me of the Underground Railroad. You know, as you go along, you pick up something until you get to where you need to go. She was one of those. So she was never really short of money because she knew where to go.
Wasn't there another African American female physician on the East Side that for some reason or another, maybe it's slipping me, but for some reason or another, I thought that we had
Adventist.
Yeah, I thought we had one, but I can't recall.
Maybe somebody, one of our viewers or listeners, can help us out. If you know who that is, put in the chat for us. Help us out with that one. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure there are several others. But yeah, these were some awesome women.
You know, I feel bad for reading everybody's stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I was just read everybody's stuff and got on everybody's stuff. Yeah, y'all just messed me up here because I'm sorry. Temple, come on, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on. I think, and I'm not putting down Mississippi, everybody. I'm just saying it's harder to start out there. You know what I mean? And then go back there. Oh no, absolutely amazing. I'm happy to be Adventist. I'm working on my Christianity. I'm just happy to be Adventist.
No, this is awesome. And that's the thing too. Like I said, we said these were Adventist people and the work they were doing in the church. But I saw, once again, a common thread is that these women were very much about improving their community. Right. So, you know, everything that they contributed was to help others. And then the byproduct of that was introducing, you know, people to Christianity, to Adventism and winning souls. And I'm like, wow, you know, this is a model that we may try to emulate because it was very effective for them in their respective fields. All right. Education. Women in education. Adventist women leading the way. Why are you laughing at?
Because I'm up here reading everybody's stuff.
He has to talk now.
And now it's your turn.
We'll leave. You guys enjoy the program, okay?
No. Why don't you skip it and go to something else and come back to me? Come on.
Okay.
No, You're next.
No.
Okay,
You're next.
Education.
And Ananite. Isn't Ananite part of
Yeah.
Ananite, yeah.
Now
Yep.
we may
Listen,
recognize her. Most
Yeah,
of us.
because she is. Matter of fact, we had to talk about her last week, Nick. You the one that brought up one of us brought up something dealing with her father, Ananite's
well,
father.
I would have
That
been
was
very good if I did it because I wasn't on last week, but
right.
yeah.
I guess that's when both
This
of us
green
talked
room
about.
talk you're thinking
So,
about.
right, maybe green room talking, or when the shift actually happened. So let's go back
Yes.
to. Sorry, Nick. Ananite. The reason why Ananite is a big deal to me because I went to school with her grandson.
Okay.
So that's how I started to learn a lot about Ananite. But again, she was light enough to be white, but dark enough that she was black. That role she could not she had not the opportunity to go to school, so she would pick out her friends to actually teach her, on a peer level of so that's how she learned in the lower grades. Her father, let me say this though, and I don't know where I got. I think anyway, the father helped with actually he was. I don't want to say violent. What is it, you guys? Help me.
Well, he launched a rebellion.
That's it.
During the Civil
That's
War.
it. That's it.
he was
That's
strident
it.
and
Mhm.
took very little tea for the fever.
Yeah, right. And then I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to go up Battle Creek or Andrews or, those are some great places for us to be able to visit, to be able to see
Oh, yeah.
see out there. 1898 being at Battle Creek College, and
Yep.
and can I just throw a pin in here because I have a little problem with something. I noticed that all of these women, as great as they are, was commissioned overseas after a while. I'm gonna upset this
Interesting.
thing for a second. I'm
Yeah.
gonna upset this,
Yeah.
Chuck.
Yeah, get
Chuck,
too good, they ship you
Upset
off
it.
somewhere. I tell you,
Yeah.
you see,
Upset it.
be great over there. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, Ellen White was sent overseas for that
right.
reason.
That's right. Well, she went to Australia. If you look at all of these names, most of the names that we call, we find them sent away somewhere. I say sent
Right.
away. Maybe I shouldn't call
But
it
it
that.
is the mission field.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
are you suggesting that it was intentional because of their gender?
I think because of their power. I go for their power first, then I go to their gender, whichever way that you want to mix it.
Mm.
They picked up steam way too quick. If you look at the dates that they have been working in and seeing the amount of things that have happened. So when you look at women who have started Sabbath school, number one, Sabbath school is really what started school. We didn't have school first; it was Sabbath school first, and then being able to go into Alma Baker McKibben. And by the way, all their husbands died early.
I'm not gonna laugh.
Is there correlation there?
I'm sorry, guys. I just need to find out. Anyway, yes, and no, there was tuberculosis going on, TB that was going around, and but here we go for Alma. She was the first one to come up with the SDA curriculum for schools.
Yep.
Wow.
Man, I just think all of that. We ought to pay homage to them for being able to do that because where would we be right now, where we are now, and of course we'll have another show on the education system, but where would we have been without those women trailblazing the way for education?
Exactly.
And two things, Sabbath school, and I got to say both of them, Sabbath school and the school system. I think it's great.
Yeah. Now, another thing I want to mention about Ananite, though, because you did mention she was black, but she was one of those that could pass, a little bit, but pass, So when she went to school, remember they sent for her to come to school, but when she got there, and they're like, wait a minute, you're black. They actually kicked her out.
And consider, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, consider their kids. The white kids that were going there, consider it was dangerous for her to have been in their presence.
And she was brilliant, but they knew she was brilliant. So I think one of the instructors continued to teach her, but just not with the others, the other students. But it's just to say that there was opposition. I mean, but these women kept going and kept pursuing what they felt were their God-given passions, and I just think it's awesome. And we're the better for it as a church.
Yep.
All right. Now this conference work, we were highlighting a few people who've recently been voted to administrative positions in the conference and things of that nature. But this isn't new. This isn't as new as we think it is, right? Charles, tell us about that.
No. The two ladies that I had the pleasure of learning about, and again, our show is not long enough to include all the things they've done. I mean, an incredible amount of work. And I had a little anger in doing this research because this is not widely published,
No.
not talked about. It's like they're forgotten. They were just put in a vault and forgotten. Some amazing work. Well, Sarah Peck, she did a lot of things. I'm just going to highlight a few that I thought that just really I thought was amazing. That we're talking about conference work. So these are individuals who worked for or in conference offices or conference administration or conference work. Sarah Peck, one of the things that fascinated me was that she spent over 80 years working in the church. That is amazing.
Wow.
That is amazing. She was Ellen White's assistant, or one of them, because Ellen White had quite a few assistants. But she wrote. Let's see. She worked in the curriculum for the conference. She wrote a lot. She also was one of the well, let me first say that she reached 100 years old, by the way.
Yep. It's been a long time.
She'd authored 20 books, and she worked for the conference in the California and in the General Conference. So here you have a woman in the General Conference, not just local. And as I'm reading this information, I said, why haven't I known this? Why we have this conversation now about women in ordination and women in church, in office, being officers and whatever. I mean, these ladies talk about trailblazing. I think it was almost like some of the men were afraid of them.
Exactly.
You better let her do what she want to do, because she might start something. But she was quite a notable person. And of course, when you click that link and go through the professor's the professor's presentation, you'll find a lot more detail, because he gets into quotes and things like that were pointing to her career. Also, Flora Feit Plummer. She wrote for the Sabbath School Department. Amazing. I'm just shaking my head as I'm learning this stuff. She was an interim president.
That's right.
For the Ohio Conference.
Whoa.
Iowa.
I'm sorry, Iowa. So, so here we go. So you say, so here we go. Okay. You say, okay, she's an interim. Interims usually serve for a few months, whatever.
Or a year.
She served for more than a year. And I understand from the history that they weren't in a hurry to get rid of her.
Nope. That means she was doing a good job.
She was doing a good job as a conference president. So understand, ladies and gentlemen of our audience, that female conference presidents are not new. Okay.
They don't want you to know that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. She served on the General Conference Committee. She was the only woman, the only female that served on the General Conference Committee in 1913. 1913. In fact, there's a photograph of the committee, and there's just one woman in the middle.
And there were a lot of men too. Yeah.
And she served on that committee for quite a while. And she was also known in the community too. It was noted that, there were newspaper articles written about her. You know, it's not good to read the chat when when you're presenting. But yeah, she did youth work, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
and I find it amazing that a lot of these women who are working in the church for the church, that many of them cross paths with Sabbath school and youth work.
Yep.
That should make you go, what about today? Maybe another show. But that's what I had to share. There was so much. I mean, my list, I had to just pick out of my list.
Yeah, because there's so much. If we just
yeah,
too.
Quite a bit. So I say here to these early pioneers, these ladies who bravely moved forward, would not take no as an answer. Absolutely. And just to coin a little phrase, I heard this somewhere before. They pushed back and they reached back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You better quote yourself.
Reach back to last week, right?
Is anybody else offended or that these women are considered exceptional because they were just a part of the few who were allowed to demonstrate their gifts?
Mercy.
When in reality, they may have been exceptional because of their contribution, but they certainly were not unique. It's just that we didn't let others in. It's like when they talk about Black people being a credit to your race or something like that. It's that you just didn't let them in. And even now, I mean, here's a woman, and I will readily tell you my embarrassment that I only knew 2 of these women out of all of the women that we talked about and looked at. Even now, this church, its posture is that women are not worthy of ordination. I mean, does that bother anybody else, or is it just me?
Oh yeah, it's upsetting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's very upsetting. When even in the same presentation, and I'll put it back in the chat again for those who didn't see it. This is a gentleman by the name of Jim Wibberding, I believe. He spends a great deal talking about Ellen G. White and that whole controversy about whether or not she was really credentialed, whether she was really ordained,
over credentialed.
And so during that time they were using the word credentialed, which is what some people are using to say no, she wasn't ordained, she was credentialed. But when he was comparing it with the other ministers of that time, they all were referred to as credentialed. So it kind of debunks that idea that no, hers wasn't really an ordination, because that's how they were all referred to during that time. And it's like, those are facts, and we still find a way to take facts and twist them and make them what we want them to be and change this narrative. It's like, why was it okay then? And now it's like this big cover up for this woman.
Well, I'd like to get on my soapbox for a second.
Okay.
When you see pathfinding come around, these are the things you had to learn in Pathfinders. These are you had to know the history of them. And I'll be honest with you, Nick, I'm with you. The names, actually, as I was going through them, it all started to come back. You know what I mean? It's like riding the bike. You're like, okay, I get it. I think the more that we stop teaching, I go back to what GP was talking about with financial literacy and taken away from our learning, our children learning about the history of Adventism. In order for you to have gone through one step in the Pathfinder organization, even Master Guide, you had to know Adventist history. I mean, there's just no way you could become a Master Guide without it. And we read it and just left it alone. It's all there. The more we stop teaching our young people, especially about the history, the more Adventism falls apart at the laces. We're still, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And also balancing the narrative so that they're not just saying prominent men who started the church, and not also the females who were right beside them, trailblazing and leading the way. Because sometimes the history's there, they're just leaving out important chunks that happen to include women some of the time. So, it's kind of balancing out the narrative, because it's important for our young men and young ladies to see that they have a place in the church. It's the same thing that we say in corporate America. If they never see someone like themselves being part of the history or being, how do they know that they can be a part? We want our children to know you're a part of the history of the church that you're a part of, and you too can make an impact right now where you are.
Yeah.
One of our UpSet members who's listening, I believe it's Charlotte, said, "Let's don't start again with women's ordination. Jesus did not rely on credentials to select his disciples." I agree, he didn't. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about, ordination is it is the
it's endorsing. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
It's I'll even accept it endorsing, but it is the acknowledgement.
Yes.
That God has gifted a person, and that person has evidenced that gifting through their service. That's what ordination is, and that you are now set aside to do this. And Carrie Williams, who is obviously connected in some way to someone of a very rebellious mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it is.
Yeah, she made mention of the fact that Pastor Sandra Roberts, who was the Pacific Union Southern California Conference, was conference president, but not allowed to vote because the General Conference would not seat her because she was not ordained.
Yeah.
Right. And so we have to, you can't, I'm going to use a word.
It's disrespect.
Maybe I shouldn't use the word.
Use it.
Okay.
Use it.
The word that is used and it has been used in news and in other places, it's called niggerization, where you disallow a person's qualifications based on the fact that you don't accept the package that the person comes in. And so so a woman, like you say something like, man, yeah, she can really preach for a woman. I mean, it's that kind of statement.
Yes.
And when you have women who have the qualifications and the ability, nothing should impede their contribution, and nothing should be an impediment to their being compensated.
That's right.
For their contribution. I mean, it just angers me that we have to look at these women and say, wow, I didn't know that they did that.
And we still have that last section of the Adventist history where we're looking at women who actually started churches in the 19th century.
Had district churches.
Yeah.
Wow.
They just to mention a couple of ladies. One was Minnie Sipe. Minnie Sipe. And she was one of those women that she just enjoyed sharing the message with other people. Like, she was just one of those people, if you saw her in the supermarket, she would just, give you a tract or share a good word. Or she would cook food and then invite like the neighborhood kids to come by and eat. And while they were eating, she would share a little message and invite them back for another program. And this was kind of the model that she used. This was like early evangelism. This woman was doing this to the point where even when she moved, her husband got a job, and I think in Oklahoma at a mine. Even when she moved, she took those same methods and kind of built a little community there. So much so that she ended up having to call the Oklahoma conference and saying, I kind of have a little, almost like an accidental church plant here. If you guys want to come send somebody out to organize it. And they were like, hey, how about you do it? Pretty much offered her a job to kind of be an evangelist at the time and set up this church, which she did. But even when she was doing that, she was obviously successful. She even started to doubt, am I really capable of doing this? Even though she drew the people, she was preaching, she was actually giving the word and drawing these people. But then there's that other side where there was a man, I think it was a conference she was preaching at, and a man, after she was done, stood up and said, I'm going to be reviewing everything that she shared tonight, and you come back tomorrow and I'll let you know if it was accurate. And he did it. The next night he came and kind of, verified what she'd presented the night before. And then she stood up after he was done with his presentation and said, come back tomorrow because I'm going to be verifying what he spoke.
Yeah.
Oh, Minnie Sipe. I like that kind of thing.
Wow.
Like, don't take away from me, So even though she had her own insecurities, she was willing to fight for, she knew she was preaching this gospel, and she had just as every right to share the message as he did. And I love the fact that she challenged him back.
But you know what I like about that story? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go back.
What I like about that story is that sometimes when people put that on you, you do get depressed. You get down about it. You're only human. But she went and she prayed about it. She uses the same language that Ellen G. White uses, or so I look at it as anyone who's approached God's throne of grace and mercy and hear back from him. It was almost like she said, I forgot what the wording was, but it was almost like I was shown that he said, my grace is sufficient. You keep pressing on. And I think that's when you hear from God. And by the way, Charlotte, I do agree with Nick on this. You need affirmation, not from man, but from each other. And I think that's the key to it. If you have an affirmation from each other, that pushes you. But getting the affirmation from God that his grace is sufficient for you to keep pressing forward, do what you got to do, because it's not a man's work. All right, then and there, I said I'm with her 100%.
Yeah.
Incidentally, Charlotte, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chuck.
No, I was just going to ask Latasha on this question. So it looks like I came across this in the research that letting females go in our church structure who were once single and then got married.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar? Did we do a show on that?
Yep.
Someone just recently had to go through that. So this started back in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You get married, it's like, see ya.
Yeah. And I don't remember which of the ladies. Maybe it was her.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah.
I should have marked which one, but I was surprised when I read that. And even when the commentator commented on it, that one of these great ladies, with many of them started out doing their work single. And then when they get married, it's like,
yeah, now go take care of your husband. Yeah, like, thank you. Now your real job is waiting for you at home. And yeah, that was an unfortunate.
And there was also the sentiment that, okay, well, you're married, so you don't have to make any money. Your husband will put the food on the table.
So we don't really have to pay you for what you're doing. Thank you for the numbers, and
makes you wonder if these people were aliens.
But even during the writing, I mean, even if you notice, it always says after they got married, it says so and so and wife, which is it's almost like saying, okay, she's married now, so we won't even call her name out.
She doesn't have a name.
She doesn't even have a name anymore. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's true. And I do want to shout out one last church planner, and this woman's, her name is Jenny Ireland, and she's significant because she actually was the first person to plant a Black church west of Mississippi. And they give her the credit, but she actually built a team to bring a group of Black people together to form the first Adventist church in that area.
Was that in Watts? Is that the Watts Church?
Yes, it was. Yeah, Watts Church in 1912.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watts Church.
Watts.
So these are.
Do we know any more history about that? Because I'd like to know how long
Did she crip walk?
Church colors were red.
Now that I don't know, but see, these are the types of things that are worth like looking into. Then we're like, oh, yeah, what was what? Like, but one of the things about her too, and this is kind of touching back on what we were sharing last week, she mentored other leaders. So she wasn't just one of those people that led and then said, okay, hopefully you saw. She kind of brought other people under her wing and showed them how to do the same thing so that the efforts could be multiplied. And I thought that was amazing. So like we were saying, all of these women that we're sharing about, these are just 10 women that were part of a presentation done by Jim Wibberding. And I hope I'm saying his name right. We will share the link. We have shared the link in the chat. We'll share it again. But it's something great to look at. And someone else has shared a book earlier, and I'll put it back up, which was also a great resource to learn about our Adventist history. And some people may say, what's the significance of this? Like, why do we have to know this? We're in the here and now. But, you
got to know where you've come from.
Exactly.
You have to understand what has shaped you. And I'll be really provocative here, which is so unlike me. But first, Charlotte Washington made a statement. I'm not exactly sure what the statement is occasioned by, but she said, "Show me one person, male or female, who was ordained by any of our conferences, minus the credentials from our colleges and universities." And since she asked, I will. George Braxton. Now we move on. The spirit, this spirit still it lives. The idea that women are considered with an asterisk, and this is going to be very close to home. And maybe I shouldn't say it, but why not? Treasurers many treasurers who've never pastored churches get ordained. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because money is important in our church. If you handle money, then by God, we need to put oil on you. And so we ordain them without, they have not shown proof of their ministry. They've just shown proof of ability to count. Tasha, you are the director of church ministries. Has anybody spoken to you about ordination? No. You know why? Because you're a woman. Okay, folks, I got to go. It's been good talking.
Yeah, have a good one,
Sally,
man.
I feel like you just slapped me right now.
Enjoy your retirement, Nick.
Yeah, he can say it.
I was feeling all right.
Yeah, we
But
might be
here's the-
joining you.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter, when you
here's the
think
sad-
about it,
Nick, you're right.
Yeah.
Nick, you're absolutely
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And it's not
if
just
you
for
assign
her.
a person the duty of overseeing the ministries of your conference,
Sure, right.
but yet you never say to that individual, we perceive that you have gifts that we are willing to recognize and sanctify it because we perceive that God has sanctified them, then you are falling prey to a level of discriminatory observation that says, because this person is a woman, we don't have to think of her that way.
Wow.
I'm just,
No,
it's more of the same. And
Yeah.
we have to confront this stuff or we become party to the perpetuation of it. And I'm unwilling to do that.
No, listen, that you bring out a good point. I'm actually humbled right now just by.
It was nice knowing you guys, though.
But no, I know we we've highlighted a lot of awesome people, and it was actually refreshing to hear about all these women who are part of the church that I was born and raised in, and that I care deeply about. And so looking back at these people were born in 1871, 19 this, and it's like we're in 2022.
Mercy.
And it's
Having
like
the same conversations.
Exactly. It's like, wow.
More things
I'm
change, the
sure
more
they
remain the
thought.
same.
I'm sure they thought during their time, okay, it's going to get better. You know what I mean? We're trailblazing here. They're going to start to recognize, and here we are. 100 years later, still dealing with some of these issues, and it just makes you say, well, like you said, Tally, what can we do now? I mean, we're aware of the history, we're aware of this gap where women kind of fell off. I mean, it wasn't as uncommon. You did see women holding positions in the church early on, then it just kind of fell off.
I went to seminary in 1978. We had one female seminarian. I never will forget. Jan Daffern was her name. One. My understanding now is that the majority of seminarians, I understand, are female. Am I correct in that, GP? Is it close to
I
that?
graduated from seminary in 2013, so I can't speak to the current statistics, but I can refer you to the Office of Regional Conference Ministries. They interviewed Dr. Hyveth Williams, the first senior pastor, Black pastor, and current dean of the seminary, and she gave some statistics about where they are now.
Hyveth is dean of the seminary?
Yeah.
It is a new day.
Or a director of D-Min programming. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
teaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All
All right.
She should be dean. She should be dean.
Yeah, she should be, but she should be, but ain't be. You just, there were just 7 ministers who fell over dead in their chair when you said that.
She can do it though.
Yeah, okay. Oh, she can look. Hyveth can do anything anybody else can do.
That's right.
She can do anything anybody else can do.
Carrie Williams is adding to what you were saying, Tally, about George Braxton and also Charlie Jenkins.
I think they made Charlie Jenkins go back and get it. I think they made him go get it.
Really?
I don't think so. I think
no, they made him go to CUC and
really?
and yeah, I'm almost sure they did, but they weren't gonna make Uncle George do that. Uncle George,
Yeah.
I'm not
I know some
gonna do all that,
pastors over the past 5 years who have not completed their schooling, but they have been ordained by their conference. So
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
it still happens.
And
Yeah.
here's another comment from Misunderstood 2. I feel there is a lot of layers, and ultimately we must work as collective so that we don't lose this momentum. Let's forge ahead, but with different energy. Now do these discussions, which is true. You know, I feel like this is the last week of Women's History. Woohoo! We had a great time all month. But will we lose that fervor in the boardroom next month when something comes up with women in leadership, whether it's in our church or anywhere else? So that's a good point. We don't want to just have these discussions to have them, but to actually work collectively to make some real change and
That's
how we
right.
view women
Yeah.
in the church and the workplace.
And it should
That's
be
right.
taught in your schools.
Yes.
Let's make a curriculum about that. You just need to be, taught
And
in our schools of this history.
let's be careful when we teach these things that we don't create an idea that these women are Michael Jordans of that, like they're so exceptional, but rather that these women are representative of what women can do if given an opportunity.
There you go.
Period.
And so
Mhm.
that, we open the door wide because look, anybody who can do the job should be afforded the opportunity to do the job and accredited with the job that they are doing and compensated as they're doing the job and given the opportunity to be enlarged in doing that job. And so,
I love
if
that.
you're not ordained in this church, there's certain jobs you cannot get, which means
Mhm.
you cannot serve at certain capacities if you lack ordination. It's that simple. And,
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah, one comment from Misunderstood 2. I miss Pastor Jenkins. He was truly on fire for the Lord.
He ain't going
was.
nowhere.
Um,
He's still.
No,
Being
but
in her area, maybe.
Oh, maybe it's
but,
her area. You're right. You're right. He's still
I worked
preaching.
with Pastor Jenkins with his radio program and his television program. And 1 year, I think he baptized more individuals than within the entire conference baptized.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if that's apocryphal, but I know he was, because I was in Baltimore when he was really lending his gifts to the church in an enormous way. He's an
Very
evangelist.
talented. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I do want, before we go, I definitely like this comment from the strange woman. I don't know, from Carrie Williams too. Can we discuss how God's calling ordination is broader than pastoral ministry? And
Well,
I think that that's also key, is so oftentimes when we think about women in ministry, we go straight to, pastoral ministry.
Pulpit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pulpit.
the pulpit, and so there's some women who just, there's some people, period, too, who just want to do the work. Like they don't need a title. They don't. They will sometimes titles and positions open up opportunities for you to do more. But so many of these women, like the woman we talked about today, just had a passion for the ministry. And these callings kind of came to them unexpectedly from them just doing what they love to do and drawing people to Christ. And so, women, your calling may not be to pastoral ministry, but you do have a place in ministry. And just because it may not be to a pulpit, you still have a call to follow. So thank you for thank you for bringing out that point. That is definitely potent. All right, guys. Well, once again, thank you all for your contribution to this timely discussion regarding women, hidden figures in the Adventist Church. And we hope you'll check out that full presentation and some of the books that were mentioned, and just do your own little research. It's kind of good to edify yourself and have this knowledge so that when you hear people saying things, you can kind of counteract it with a little fact.
We're gonna close with our theme song. Yeah. She's once, twice, 3 times. No? Okay.
We're like, yeah, okay. Uh-huh. No, tell your truth. But no, we've enjoyed this Women's History Month series. And we'll
Yeah.
continue to, we always said we don't, even though we like to honor what's happening in terms of the months, we're going to be talking about different things as it
Yes.
relates to women.
I think we just got a note from Lionel Richie.
But yeah, we thank you guys. Appreciate you all in the comments as well, giving us your feedback. Oh no.
And number 6.
You know, we have got to get Carrie on the show.
No, we've already said
Hey,
she's coming
Yeah,
on.
we've got to get Carrie on.
Yeah, she can be another host, and I can go back to my studio.
Nope.
Yanni's going to listen to Lionel Richie now.
No, she said she's going to listen to the rest of the show. Oh no, now she did say she. Oh no, okay. See what we've done? Free advertising. But anyway, guys, it's been another great conversation. If you have some topics, like I said, this whole subject came out of one of you sharing some information with us that we read and thought was worthy of us discussing. So if you have something you want us to talk about, email us at upset@aecsda.com. We are rapidly building up our queue of topics from you all, and we're excited to get to all of them. Be patient with us as we do that, but continue to send them upset@aecsda.com. And, last year, guys, we did a show where we just kind of answered random questions that were kind of coming from all different topics. And I think it's time for us to do another one of those. So we can kind of do kind of a hodgepodge show of just answering viewer questions. So we'll give you more information about when that will be, so you can give us some topics to talk about. Yes, we're looking forward to next week as well, Yanni. We thank you for joining us again. And let me put this back in the comments again, the link to the presentation that we referenced tonight. I did put it back in the chat for those who joined a little bit later. And then the name of that book, it was called The Called. And I forgot the name of the author real quick, but we'll add that as well to the chat. Oh, here it is. Called by God. Sorry, Called by God by Josephine.
Pastor Josephine Benton.
Yeah.
Yes. And also the encyclopedia, the Adventist Encyclopedia. Yeah, that's all. The yearbook, I'm sorry, is also a good source to kind of get some real facts.
Yeah,
All right.
So, by the way,
Tasha, before you wrap up, so we have 4 more days in the month of March, and so we won't be back during Women's Month, but we just want to take one more time to affirm all of our wonderful women in our audience, in our chat, in our community. So take this time, the rest of these few days in this month, to affirm a woman and to uplift them and to study and read about them, because we really, really need to appreciate them.
You're saying that, and it took me right back to this week in the news once again with the confirmation hearings and Cory Booker and his comments to Ketanji Brown Jackson, and that emotional moment where I was reading something how they said she dealt with all of these questions, not one tear came from her eye. Right. But as soon as she was affirmed, someone was affirming her, that's when she was able to kind of release. And you saying that, GP, it really brought that home to me. It's like, you don't know how much affirmation can be for a woman in the struggle sometimes, or just anyone in general. But since we're talking about Women's History Month, so I agree. I encourage not just males, but other females. Let's continue to lift each other up and affirm each other in our efforts.
When it comes to our sisters, affirm.
When the month is over, keep going. Keep the same energy year round.
Right. Yep. This is just supposed to motivate us so that we can keep doing it. I mean, that's why it's every year, but it shouldn't be something that we only do in that month. Yeah. Thank you for saying it. Okay. All right, guys. Well, looks like we don't want to get out of here, but it's just great hanging out with the audience. We thank you guys for tuning in each week. And we will be back next Sunday with another great discussion. And
subscribe and click the bell.
That's right. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and on Facebook. Maybe some of you are fans by now. Maybe you can be one of our fans. Continue to share this with people. We have a lot of people who share after the fact. So that's right. And yes, hooray for Senator Cory Booker. Yes, that was great. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. Thank you, crew, for being here tonight. And we'll see you next week. We're signing off.
Peace.
Bye-bye.